Welcome to the X's and Argos film session for week 5. My name is Ben Grant. They say, and I don't really know who they are, but they say that in every football game there are 5 plays on which the outcome hinges. And I don't know if that's true or not. Sometimes it feels like there was one big play, and sometimes I know I've had days where it feels like there were 30. But for the Argos on Labor Day in their 32-19 loss to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, there were exactly 5 plays that made the difference in that game, so I thought we'd break them down today. All right, let's start with number 1. So it's early in the second quarter. Hamilton's up 3-0, but Toronto's driving. We got 2nd and 4 from the Tiger Cat 13. This is a pretty innocent play. John White takes it up the middle for 3 yards, but I want you to watch Darius Bladek. He's at right guard here. And now we don't have the sound on now, and that's going to make a difference. So just obviously, I was going to say ignore the sound. Obviously, you're ignoring the sound. I don't have the sound on. But when you watch this without sound, Bladek makes sure that the end isn't coming inside, and then he climbs up to the will. He engages him, throws him upfield, and then pursues and then gives him a shove at the end of the play, which he gets flagged for. That's a 15-yard roughness penalty. And it should be if we lived in a world without sound. If you just watch the video, there's no question Bladek hits Simone Lawrence well after John White has been tackled to the ground. That's not the issue on this play. But when we introduce sound, it changes a little bit. So ignore the play-by-play. I just want you to listen for the whistle.
Surprised nobody signed you to a CFL contract today?
Contact my agent, I'm open.
Well, you played football.
I played.
The whistle isn't blown until Bladek shoves Lawrence. How is he supposed to know the play's over? Play to the whistle. Isn't that what you're taught in every sport from the first time you put on a pair of cleats?
Well, you played football.
And Bladek's not looking behind him. He's blocking. He's run blocking. He's got a job to do. He's playing to the whistle. How is he supposed to know the play's over? The referees were late blowing the whistle, and the Argos paid the price for this. So now instead of 3rd and less than a yard, essentially an automatic 1st and goal situation where the Argos could score a touchdown in the next couple plays, they're instead facing 3rd and 15, and they have to settle for a field goal. At this moment in the game, if the Argos go up 7-3, who knows how it turns out? This was a huge momentum-killing play. Now, the purpose of this example isn't to blame the referees. There wasn't a bias here. Hamilton got burned with the phantom pass interference call a little earlier, but this was one of those 5 moments where it could have gone one way or the other, and just due to the circumstances and what happened here, what might have been 7 points became 3. Play number 2 comes on the very next drive. So Hamilton facing 2nd and 15 at the Toronto 23. And it's important here to go back to the previous play, because of the play right before this one, Tristan Deku made the defensive play of the day. So he perfectly timed a crushing hit on Brandon Banks, which forced him to drop what would have been a touchdown pass. This was huge for the Argo defense. And now the Ticats are almost certainly facing a field goal attempt, barring anything huge happening on the next play. And, obviously something huge does happen on the next play. So it's an obvious passing down. Hamilton's got trips to the field. Toronto's in that 3-3 stack they really like. So they're rushing 3. McCoyle closes. He's sort of cautious because he's got the back. And Judge is spying Evans. He's going wherever Evans goes. But Evans is able to buy a little bit of time, kind of using his lineman as sort of a pick here. And this allows his receiver, David Ungerer, to improvise. So Ungerer's just got a simple dig. We got double digs here on the one side, on the trip side. And Deku, the hero from the last play, he's playing the sticks. His heels are at the sticks. And he's in great position until right here. He sees Evans escaping, and it causes him to hesitate just for a second. He loses Ungerer. Evans finds him before Deku has a chance to close the space. And what you're looking at here is a situation that you just don't want to be in as a DB. A little shake to the inside, then Ungerer delivers a perfect stiff arm, and he dives into the end zone for a touchdown. It's a great play from Ungerer. It's a great play from Evans. And instead of Hamilton jogging back to the bench, wondering how they're ever going to get into the end zone, the momentum Toronto gained from that huge hit is now gone, and Hamilton's rolling. the third play that changed the game. We're midway through the third quarter. Toronto's only down 6. It didn't feel like it, but they were only down 6 in striking distance. But now they're backed up on their own 14 in a punting situation. Beatty booms a huge punt, 53 yards. Frankie Williams takes the punt, sidesteps the gunner, and you're saying, well, that's fine. There's 11 more guys, but there's a mistake in coverage. Ideally, you want your coverage team running down the field as a unit, as a wall, each player basically occupying a lane that slowly narrows as they all converge on the ball carrier. And here we've got instead a sort of V formation with Calver in the lead. And once Calver gets boxed out, there's no one left in the middle, and the lanes haven't closed enough. So Williams shoots straight down the pipe, and all he has to do now is just run away from Beatty at the end. Punters like Beatty are sometimes criticized for what people say is out-kicking their coverage. And what that means is essentially they kick so far that the returner has a chance to build up steam and your coverage team loses their spacing. But that isn't what's happening here. This isn't on Beatty. The hang time was there. This is on the coverage team, and it's simply an unacceptable and game-changing play. The fourth play that changed the game was late third quarter. Here we've got 2nd and 6. Toronto's defense trying desperately to get off the field, and they're in good position here. So Hamilton leaves 7 into block, and there are 5 defenders rushing the quarterback. So Evans is going to have plenty of time. He steps up, and he just delivers a strike to Tim White. It's a 57-yard touchdown, and it just about puts things away. Now, going back here, without knowing the play call, I can't say with absolute certainty what went wrong here, but there's a long list sort of building in my mind. So for starters, it looks to me like Haggerty, who is in here for Creston Butler, it looks like Haggerty thinks it's cover 2 sky, or sometimes what we call a cover 2 cut. So that's where the 2 halfbacks would each have deep half, and Haggerty would press up into the underneath hole here. But if you look at Shaq Richardson and Jeff Richards, they clearly don't think they've got deep half. They think Haggerty has deep middle. I don't want to blame Haggerty, especially without knowing for sure. And he's a rookie who was thrown into a really tough situation when Creston Butler went down. But it just seems more likely to have been him than the guys beside him who have both played in a Grey Cup. So let's take a look here. Haggerty's playing up. And you see Creston do this sometimes, even when he's got deep middle or deep half. So this doesn't really stand out on its own because the Argos do disguise their coverage pretty well. So Shaq, you can see Shaq here. He thinks he's got hook curl. And you can see him pass Ungerer over to McCoyle. But you watch Haggerty back here. So Banks crosses his face. And Haggerty clearly passes him off to someone. But he's actually passing him off to nobody. So clearly he thinks Shaq is supposed to be back there. And you can see Shaq look around. At this point, he knows there's a problem, but it's too late now. And the thing is, Evans doesn't even go to Banks because White ran past Haggerty on the other side. So Hamilton's basically got a high-low on the free, where Hamilton's trying to force Haggerty to choose one or the other. But he's determined to lock down this underneath hole. And again, I don't want to put everything on the kid. He's been nothing but perfect since the Argos drafted him. He's exceeded expectations at every step of the way. But whatever happened here, there was poor communication from the secondary, 2 giant busts in here, and they result in a Hamilton touchdown. And the 5th play that decided the outcome of this game, late fourth quarter, it's a 2-touchdown game, and stranger things have happened in the CFL. You know that. Anyone who watches CFL football knows 5 minutes left, 2 touchdowns, that's nothing. But Hamilton ends all thoughts of an Argos comeback on this play. So they disguise their pressure really well. They're showing 6. Then now they send 5, but one of those 5 is Simone Lawrence, who the Argos don't account for at all. So with the protection that the Argos have called here, Campbell knows that he's got help from White to the outside. So on the snap of the ball, when the end crosses his face, Campbell goes with him and he leaves Adeleke to White. The problem is that Lawrence is also coming around the edge. So now there's 2 guys for White. and there's a numbers problem, obviously. So when you've got an overload blitz like this, generally the closest receiver to the blitz has what we call a sight adjustment. So it's basically that their route changes now. They're supposed to see the blitz, and usually they break in towards where the players were. And I think that's what's happening here. It looks like Daniels exercises this. He breaks in immediately, but I don't think that Arbuckle sees the pressure yet. He has to hit Daniels right now. At this moment, he's got to strike Daniels. These sight adjustments, the timing is crucial because, like I said, the space that's being vacated by the blitzing players is where you want the receivers to go, but it's not going to stay empty forever. There's someone coming. There's always someone coming to cover up that space, but there's a window of time, a moment where if the quarterback realizes it right away, they can hit the receiver in that void. By the time Arbuckle realizes what he's got, he looks to Daniels, but Mason Bennett has dropped into coverage, and amazingly, he has taken away Arbuckle's option here. So this forces Arbuckle to double clutch, and now by the time he releases it, Santos Knox has closed enough to get a piece of the football. Simone Lawrence fields the batted ball, and he just walks into the end zone to put the game away. This is, at this angle here, this is a terrible position you can see for White to find himself in. He's not expecting to have to take Lawrence, but at this point, he knows that he should block inside out. That's always the rule. And if you watched our very first film session of the year, you know inside out, inside out. That's what you're always drilled. The problem is the outside guy actually poses more of a threat. So White looks inside, and then he realizes he's got to make a heads-up decision here. But there's just too many other things going wrong on this play. Some of it is on Jamal Campbell. Some of it's on Nick Arbuckle. But it's also a brilliantly designed play. It was beautifully disguised by the players, and it was called at the absolute perfect time. And there you have it. 5 plays that decided the game. I hope you enjoyed this week's film session. Hopefully it's a more positive film session for Argos fans next week. As always, if you've got any questions, let us know. Or if there's something that you'd like us to focus on in one of these film sessions, please send us a message. We're always happy to hear from you. Until next time, this is Ben Grant saying so long, and may all your pre-snap reads be good ones. I'll see you.